A year ago, we bought this land on the coast of Kenya.
And we spent the last year building this house that you see behind us here.
I'm Maria.
I'm Max.
And we're confused.
But excited
About
accessibility and making this house the most accessible that it can be. You see, I'm chaired today. Oh, sorry, bashed India. And I'm chaired some of the time. I have CMT, which is Charcot-Marie-Tooth, has nothing to do with teeth, sharks. My wife's name is Maria, but that's about it. It's just the name of the doctors. It's a degenerative neurological disease, which makes it very difficult for me to walk and do other things, and painful some of the time. We didn't want to let that stop us.
One of the things that's interesting about off-grid living, or people that you see off-grid, is that they're usually very athletic.
Yeah,
they're able to like hike miles and do all sorts of crazy things. They're able to build a lot of the house themselves.
Yeah.
And while we admire that, sometimes that's not always possible for everybody.
Right. And I think it should be accessible, like just the living in a place that you're really attached to, even if it's remote, even if it's off-grid, even if there's not a lot of amenities around, even if a lot of the supervision is done by you and yourselves. These should all be things that are possible for you. I'll just say as a caveat before beginning this, the only thing I hate more than people telling me what I can't do is people telling me what I can do. I don't want this to be disability porn. Disability porn isn't porn. It's a phrase that's used a lot, and forgive me if I'm not exactly quoting exactly what it is, but it's able-bodied people throwing up a picture of a person with a disability and saying, "Look, you can do anything if you put your mind to it," and that's insulting and patently false. Yeah. It's a matter, and I think that's really what we've done in this process is walk the line or roll the line between what is possible given the circumstances and the environment that we need support with, and how to find that support. Yeah.
So in all the various homes we've shared, ding, Menlo Park, ding, where do we go
Park,
next?
the mirror image.
Oh yeah. Then ding,
Oakland,
ding,
Richmond,
ding,
Richmond.
the
Hi,
house.
Andrew and Jess.
Yeah.
We miss you guys.
So for a long time, you've had ideas about what if you could design the house yourself, what you'd want, and in the last year, we've had an opportunity to design the house yourself.
And I feel like we've done a really good job with a lot of it. Hello. So today I'm scraping the paint off of this section of our house right next to our little dunk pool, dive pool. We built this right attached to the house for accessibility. The main thing was that the seat and the ground here are at the same level so that when you step in, it's really easy. We have to put a railing here. That's a big thing we haven't done yet. So that getting in and out of the pool, there's really nowhere you can fall. We also had the floor painted this beautiful kind of sandy pink color, which for most of the house is absolutely wonderful and a great decision, and the paint has held up really well. But for this section, we realized combined with the water sort of splashing out of the pool and from the shower that we've installed for rinsing off right next to the pool, this paint is too slippery. You'll notice how even we asked the fundi asimiti, the stonemasons or the cement laying people, to do the floor really a rough, sort of grainy texture, and that was very unintentional. That was to keep it tough, or sort of rough enough that you can get traction wherever you're walking. But for whatever reason, combined with this paint and the water, this area is too slippery. So what I'm doing now is I'm scraping all this paint off here. It comes off really easily with the water. So you just took a little swim, so there's water all over the place. Scraping ASMR. And this stuff is kind of great too.
Ew.
One huge thing, even the floors, there's no unnecessary little bumps or ridges. A lot of people put a little ridge or a little copra around the bathroom floor to prevent flooding, or try to make the floors really smooth for cleaning reasons. You can circumvent the problems of those create by being creative and being smart about how you plan drainage, how you make the floors look like a slight enough slope.
Yes, I remember that was a big request you had of the fundis, and you got a lot of resistance.
Yeah.
Because people like shiny floors, apparently.
Yeah. I cannot tell you how many times I've slipped in my life. I have a constant problem of slipping, twisting ankles, tearing ligaments and stuff like that. If the floor is still very cleanable, it's still very sanitary. It's just textured, and it was so frustrating to have to fight the conventional wisdom of like, but the floor has to be smooth. It's
really smooth and shiny.
I cannot tell you how many like bathrooms and hotels we go to, even just wood floors that are super polished and buffed out, that just make me feel like I'm gonna immediately fall and break something or crack my head on something.
So I think it's a lie that you can't have functional floors without them being like shiny marble or like shiny whatever. Like I think our floors are very beautiful, and they don't have to be smooth and shiny. Yes, and there's a difference between being and this is just an ongoing gripe with me, which is something I really appreciate about living here, is there's a difference between being ADA compliant and accessible on paper versus in the real world. Here, and this is partially, I want to put the caveat, this is partially because we have money, and disability without money it just amplifies all the problems of not having money anyway, so that's a caveat. But I feel like there's an attitude of kind of helpfulness and supportiveness and just sort of like a view of like, let's walk into a room and observe the people around us and see what maybe people need, and just be considerate of that. And I love that about Kenya. That's a huge change in like approach and attitude.
It's a beautiful thing, and I deeply appreciate it, and it made this whole project possible.
So how did we design this kitchen to kind of work for us?
So soft corners.
Soft corners was huge. We like round things, as you may have inferred by the shape of this house.
Both for form and function. Like there's not corners to fall on. There's not things to bump against. There's nothing.
And that was funny enough. It was pretty hard to get the fundis to get it.
A lot of
you're like, let's round the corners, and we'd come back the next day.
A lot of stonemasons think in straight lines, which makes sense if they're working with bricks. But having to really emphasize that, and to their credit, they did a great job. Like they made all the curves impeccably
And
smooth.
I remember one time you came. I mean, they would kind of just do a little bit because the client didn't get it. One time you came and you just asked for a mallet and you just bashed away the corner. I'm like, I want this much.
Everyone
want a
was
big
looking
curve.
at me with look. They were looking at me aghast, like, oh, okay, like a circle. It's easy to navigate on foot or in a chair. There's nothing. A lot of the way they build kitchens is like you want counter space underneath the counters, but a lot of times they either do like a little kind of stair underneath the counter for, I guess, for drainage and stuff. There's so many small things like that that get in the way. The fact that I can roll all the way up to this table and easily park myself underneath it, I can do that in the kitchens too, on almost all the kitchen counters, which is not nothing if I'm like scaling a big old fish.
So far we've talked about the interior of the house. One big aim you had was to be able to get around on the outside, and obviously this model of wheelchair can't go on sand. So you are determined to build a path on the outside. How did that go, and where did you start?
So you can see my experimentation and ultimate failure in trying to build paving blocks, or cabro blocks, they call them here. I went on here, I got all excited. I went on a tessellation website and created a design that I thought was really cool.
A cool design.
I created a mold. I did the first one. It seemed okay as a prototype. We tried it again. Horrible failure. All the blocks ended up sticking inside the mold. It was almost impossible to remove it without breaking the mold. So you can see here some of the aftershock of that failed experiment. But you know what? You have to experiment. Sometimes you're going to fail. Not all the little DIY projects, not all the things you try to do are going to be successful. Most of them probably won't.
The ones you see are the ones that worked out.
But you gotta try it. And so we found a better solution, essentially. Our guy Safari, who's amazing, who's helped us with so many projects. Safari ni fundi ya simiti, Safari ni Safari anaweza kufanya like yote kama nyumba, kama jenga. Amefanya hii path nzuri, ni laini sana, ni flush na slab ya floor.
So Safari ilichukua kama bags za simiti ngapi?
Hapo ilichukua kama 12 bags.
12 bags, yeah. Si nyingi. Na maybe wiki moja.
Wow, wiki moja na siku mbili.
Na hii ni nzuri sana. Mimi naweza kuenda yote, around yote. Asante.
Asante.
See you later. Asante. So that was a great kind of roundabout, or a different solution than originally we thought was possible, because having only built the slab for this house, we thought it was going to be a
big project,
more complicated process than it turned out to be if you have the knowledge. So part of it, again, it's not like you can do anything.
It's not like you can do everything in your office.
Yeah, you just have to find the right people to ask. You have to be able to kind of express what you need. You have to be able to think outside the box.
Yep.
And you have to be able to have a sweet little dog that puts her dog footprints, her paw prints all throughout the passage, so that you can have them encapsulated in your house design forever. Then for my failed paving block project, not all is lost. Sometimes even if a project doesn't go the way you expect it, you can use it for something else. So I realized I could fit them together into this cool little circular pattern. We'll make a little garden bed in this section.
Thanks once again for hanging out with us.
Yeah, we appreciate taking you with us on this journey. Thank you for coming with us, and let us know what you'd like to see. We love your comments. We love your advice, your suggestions. What would you do to make this a more accessible? What would you do to make this a more accessible space for you, or for people that you love, or just from your experience constructing things? Let us know.
Bye.
Bye.